Good morning and welcome to the hour of recording. But I see it is an hour. I don't know. It shows that the recording is continuing. Welcome to our second session. I think everyone here, most of you here are new to this session. Welcome to our first attempt at trying to migrate the manual registrations for Cips Appendix 1 species to the electronic version so that we can apply for Appendix 1 species on the online system instead of the current manual system. Can I have a check if everyone can hear me loud and clear? Just thumbs up or yes. You see the thumbs up? Yeah. Okay, thumbs ups are there. I can't see anything. So I'm assuming that I'm in the office here with Duanano and Anthony from PVSA so that we can help each other coordinate some of the questions that are here. We also want to make 2 points clear. Point number one is that this session is about Appendix 1 registered facilities, whether non-commercial or commercial. So if you have Appendix 2 species or you are not exporting any Appendix 1 species, you are not registered, you are not trading in CITES listed Appendix 1 species, you don't have a non-commercial registration, or you don't even have a commercial registration, you can leave. The session is to try and move people that are already registered, not to try and deal with new applicants, because I'm quite sure that those applicants will have a lot more questions than I can answer in this session. I'm trying to deal only with applicants that are already registered. They already have a non-commercial registration. They already have the registration from CITES in Switzerland as a commercial breeding facilities. They already know how many African greys or how many cheetahs or how many tigers they have on their facilities. And all we're doing is moving you from that manual requirement that you're going to have to report every 6 months by, you send your register to your management authority. All that now will be electronically, and everyone will be able to, at any date, any point, check on what is in your facility and how many animals have died, how many animals have been exported, how many animals have left, and all of that will be managed there. So just to verify, if you are here, you are already registered, you are here to find out how to migrate your current facilities into the electronic version so that you can apply for permits. Are we happy with that understanding before we begin? Thumbs up, raise your hand if you have any question so we can answer it before we keep you longer than you need to. Any hands? 3 hands. Number one. Mike's Amazon. You can unmute. Mike?
Max, yes.
Max. Okay, I can see the hands. So, yes. Max, go ahead, Max.
Oh, no, I was raising my hands. Sorry, Ambo. How do I do this?
Okay, I thought maybe you have a question, so you don't have a question.
No, sorry.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so you raise your hands now only if you have a question about why we are here and what the purpose of this session is to move people from manual to electronic that who already are registered for non-commercial and those who are registered for commercial. So if you have any questions about that, can you raise your hand and let's see. So if you don't have any question about the purpose, we can move on. I will start with Kobe. If you can unmute and ask your question, Kobe. Kobe is not speaking. We move on to Rasi. You can unmute and ask a question if you have a question on that particularly. Gert van Zyl, just wacht 'n bietjie, kom na jou. Okay, Rasi is not unmuted. James McGill.
I don't know. My hand's down. I don't know why it's up.
Okay, technology is a problem. Robin? Okay, Gert?
I
You are unmuted.
I can hardly hear you.
Okay, I think maybe I'm gonna test check with everyone else in the meeting. Can you hear me, everyone else, or is my sound bad?
Your
I'm
sound
already
is
screaming.
bad.
Okay, I think it's your computer. Can you check the volume on your own device? Check your laptop. Just make sure that the volume is high on your device.
Yeah, on my devices, it's maximum.
Oh, okay, then I don't know, because the other people are saying that they can hear me very well, so I'm not sure that I can do anything about that. I'll try and speak up from where I sit, but I'm literally leaned over my computer and making as much noise as possible. So if that is not, I think it might be a device problem or your laptop problem, but the other people seem to hear me correctly or loudly. Is Rasi? Do you have any question, Rasi?
I've got no questions. I don't know why that hand is raised. I tried to show you everything is right on my side.
We can then, so let's mute everyone now. We move on. I think Jimmy's making, Jimmy's computer must be giving him problems with the radio.
No.
Yeah,
just tell the lady that there's two volume controls, one on her computer and one on Teams. One of them must be low.
Okay. Okay, they say that I must tell you, Gert, that there is two volume controls, one on Teams and one on the computer. So just make sure that Teams volume is also up, so that maybe your audio will be better. All right, so I've seen a couple of hands and we're done now with the hands. We are gonna move on to try and show you what to do on the system. So majority of you would have used the system to apply for the other permits and hunting and other things. I don't know, I can remember. Ask Dennis to put his hand down. Please, his video. Dennis, can you just take your video down? We're seeing you here, just to deal with the bandwidth. And then can you meet everyone, including me? Then I'll mute myself, so I can see that we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, Umpo, I can't see you. I don't know why not.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the screen. What you'll see is just the screen with names of people. That's what you should be seeing. Okay. Can you see that?
All right.
Yeah. You won't see me. I don't want to be seen. So mute everyone. All right. So I'm going to move on to the first slide. Not a slide. I'm on the system itself. I've logged on as you, as the client.
Sorry, can I interfere quickly, please? Sorry.
Yes.
Just confirm that this is being recorded. We would like to put it on the PVSA website as a recorded for follow-up consultation, please.
Yes, it is recorded. I am checking to my right. They're saying correct. It is recorded. Yes, in the future, we're planning to do some of my more shorter videos about different kinds of application types and all of that. So that will also be useful. And we are committing that the next 3 months,
thank you.
Yeah, we will be doing a bit of runaround for this. So I'm logged on as the client. I don't want to log on again. Let's see, maybe I should. You know how to log on by now. Most of you have applied for a CITES permit. Oh, I hope.
No.
So I'm gonna log out.
Remember the breeders, they do the CITES.
Okay.
Exporters do that. Most breeders have no experience with CITES.
So I'm operating from a position that you would need to be registered on the Cips system. I hope you are aware of that. So if you are a breeder, you have got a registration, and now you want to migrate to the electronic, you have to migrate to the electronic because we need to move ourselves to an online system. You need to come to the www.eservices.gov.za. You can see this website here. Once you're on this website, you'll need to come to environment, or you must register on the portal. And you click on register, and you go through a registration process. You accept the terms and conditions, and you go through a process of registering yourself as a user. It will ask you for an OTP. Please don't forget your cell phone number, nor forget your email address, because that's how it recovers your account if you get lost. So you need to come to this site, come exactly to where I am now. You register to be part of the e-services. I'm now been made aware that most breeders don't apply for CITES permits, so therefore they don't know the system and how it works. So what I'm telling you now, before you can migrate, you must first register on the system to become part of the system. So you need to put in your details here. It will ask you for your cell phone number. It will ask you for your password. It must be a strong password. You'll see these days they've got this thing called strong passwords. And then it will verify with your cell phone number, much like you do with your banking apps. And then you will have created an account. With that account, you can log into the system and start applying for payments. But don't worry, your provincial representatives that are also on this call will help you with the registration process if you are stuck. So it's not going to be me trying to show you how to be registered on the e-services. What is important is to remember the e-services, what you call website, and that as a first-time user, you must register. And if you have any question about how to register, you must ask your Provincial Management Authority of CITES. They will advise you how to register on the system. I was just trying to show you where to find the system if it's the first time you ever do it. So now I'm going to be operating as someone that's already registered on the system, and I'm going to be logging in to now migrate myself from my manual application to my electronic application. Donald.
And them to pick the DFF, Department of Environment and Fisheries.
Yes, so once you are registered and you're applying for a registration as a breeder that you already have, you must come to the website. You must come to environment. You must pick the DFFE. You'll see our colleagues, they also have links here to apply for their ordinance permits. But if you're applying for a CITES permit, you need to click on DFFE. And then you click on, you log in. You see, it's asking me, who am I? Log in as Donald Stan from CETA. And then I am going to be applying for a new application. I'm going to be applying for a CITES application. I'm going to be applying for a registration. It's not a permit as usual. What am I registering for? I'm registering myself as a, going for a non-commercial, it might be less controversial than this.
It's tell them non-commercial if you
let me see here.
CITES one animals other than African place.
So if you are registering for non-commercial registrations, that's the guys that have the non-registration certificate. So you will have a certificate that says to you non-commercial issued by the province. that's where you click. If you have the Switzerland registration, the ZA number that is given by us at DFFE that is posted on the CITES website, you apply for the commercial registration. So you'll be moving your commercial registration to an electronic version. So I am going to start with the commercial one, how to get there. I'm not going to deal with the back end of it now. I'm going to deal with just what you need to do. So you, from your side, as the breeder, wanting to register on the system as a commercial breeding facilities, you already are an African grey or a cheetah facility in South Africa that has a certificate and a ZA number with the secretariat. You can commercially trade in Appendix 1 species. You come here, you are applying for migration. So you click on commercial registration for Appendix 1 species. Let me go back. I want you to see that again so that we don't get confused about where you click for what on here. Doesn't like what I like. So you go for new application, you click under CITES. You click under registrations, not permits, and then it says you are registering for an operation to breed in Appendix 1 specimen in captivity for commercial purposes. In bracket, it says registered with the secretariat. This is not a new application. You're already having this thing. So if you click on this, you know that it is not your first time application. You're already registered with the secretariat. You already have a ZA number that is with the secretariat. So it's not like you're doing something new. It's already done. It's just that you are now moving it. So I'm going to click on this. So for those who are already registered to see it. And then you move on to agree. Technology, just a minute. All right. So this is the form that you will get. So remember, the computer does not know, or the system does not know in which province you operate from. So you must select the management authority that is going to process your application. So the first thing you do when you get on that page is select which province am I sending this application to. So for the sake of this training, it's Limpopo, but you know, if you're from KZN, you click on KZN here. If you are from Gauteng, you click on Gauteng here. If you're from Cape Nature side, you click on Cape Nature, just like that. So you click on your management authority, and I always advise, please press save, because this then maps your applications in the background about where it must go. Let's see the button. Let's see. You'll see as soon as you press save, it gives you a payment reference number. I know you're not paying for these payments because you're already registered, nor do we charge you for CITES registration. We'll see that when we change our CITES regulations in the future. But for now, there's no payment required. Or it might be per province. Remember, some provinces might charge you administrative costs, so they might decide that they will charge you for the registration fee. But all I'm telling you, in terms of CITES regulations, there's no payment requirement. But please contact your province, because that's where you're applying. If they need you to pay, you must pay them as per their requirements. From the national point of view, we don't have that there. So what do I see first in this application? This is the information that I would have inserted myself when I registered in the system for the first time, right? So it says applicant. This is going to be my information, the person who's registered on the system. That gives you the login details and all of that. It will have your cell phone number, your email address, your whatever, your website, and all of that. This is what is already on the system. And then, since it's the first time you might see this, is that you must use this system as much as you use your Excel spreadsheet in your normal desktop, it has tabs, and the tabs are right at the top level there. When you see the tabs there, there's a tab that says owner information, manager information, facility details, species inventory, facility, procedure, references, the messages to your management authorities, any additional attachment that you might have. The history shows you where this application has been. So every time you look at an application, as you log in, the first thing you'll see is your own information as the applicant. This information you already have inserted on the system. And now the next stage is that you must make sure that you go through all of these tabs before you are finished and you can be comfortable to press submit. If you have not went through all of these tabs, you won't be able to submit. It will tell you are missing something. So we must be clear about that. Then we move on to the second part, is that it asks you for the owner's information. This is the owner of the facility that you are registering. And captive breeding commercial purpose facility that is already registered. It's just minor. So I'm going to click on the applicant's information is the same as the owner. So I'm going to click on this button here. There we go. So it automatically completes the rest of the form for you if you click on owner and same as applicant. If it's not the same, if the applicant and the owner are not the same people, you must insert that information as per your original application. Because don't forget, you are migrating here. We are not doing a new application. We are moving you from old to new. So if the owner's information has changed, you can update it here. But the province will then check, and you might require an inspection. I don't know what they want to do. But whatever information you update that's different from your original information, if it requires verification, it will be verified by the provinces. Okay. So do you have a hand?
Yes. So the applicant. I have a question. The applicant can, for example, be an administrator, an admin officer of the owner.
Yeah. So the applicant is not necessarily the owner. The applicant could be someone that you appoint, an agent that you have appointed to do a permitting thing, or someone in your office or in your breeding facility that does your admin, that applies on your behalf. But the owner information is different, and the manager might be a different person. Usually I know these things are not different, but yeah. So if the owner, the applicant, the owner, and the manager is the same, the information can also be the same. And then you just click as same as owner, same as applicant, and everything just duplicates across the board in your application. You don't have to retype everything. But if these people's information is different, please then put it in. Please make sure that you check after you do this, it doesn't complete this Mr. or advocate or whatever you are. So make sure that you add that, and the capacity is director and whatever you are on that thing. Then you press save. Remember, if you press save and you have load shedding, you can come back to this application and continue with it. If you don't press save, it bombs out. You will never see whatever you've typed in there. It's gone. You start from the beginning, from zero. And knowing that we're dealing with, African gray facilities that might have a lot of breeding stock, it's advisable that after every 3 that you add or 4, please press save so that you don't lose the species that you already added. Remember, we're dealing with a facility that is already registered. So this information we already have. So it asks you for the facility details. What's the name of facility? I hope I said it. Yes, Parrot ZA, the physical address, and then date established. It's already in your form that you have applied for, and you press save.
Date is very long. How to change the date?
So you can type the date in. Now you don't have to use this map here that you see. You can literally just say 07 1980. There it is, and save. But you must use the same format that you see there. You're not allowed to use a different format. You cannot put 80. It won't accept the date. It must be the same format, but as I'm trying to show you, you can type it in the same format that you see here. I hope that is understood. Number 2 is that now you add the species that is registered as an Appendix 1 species on your facilities. Né? So this is a facilities, I repeat, that is already registered. So you must look at your own certificate and see what you are registered at. I'm going to give an example with the gray because it's the easiest one to give an example with. And I think it's the majority of the people on the call are most African grays. But if you have a tiger and a cheetah and a jaguar, you will have to add this species at this stage and add them separately. There's my gray. Edit. You can note that it is not showing me how many animals I have here. It's just telling me which species is on my facilities that is registered for commercial purposes. It's not telling me how many other blue macaws I have or anything like that. It's telling me about my commercially registered ZA number with the secretariat that I'm just migrating. So when you're dealing with this, you'll be adding only African gays that you are registered with commercially. If you're dealing with the non-commercial registrations, you'll be only adding in those species that are in Appendix 1 that you have registered as non-commercial. Then you'll add more species at this stage. So this is a species now. So I'm going to move on to the next step. As remember, we started at applicant, owner, manager, facilities. Now we added the species that is in my facility that is registered with the secretariat. Then we move on to the inventory. What is the inventory? That's now all your bits. Everything that you have that is African gray, that is registered with the secretariat, that is then alive on your facility. Don't put me here or add any species that is dead. Put the species that is alive, that is on your property. This will be actually a good exercise to update all your stuff with your management authority to make sure that everything that's in your facility you already had in your previous breeding records that you must have had because you are registered with the secretariat. So now you have to add the individual beds that are on your facilities. So how are we going to go about this? Because we are already registered. So you, first of all, when you move from here to here, you won't see it automatically. You see here, I won't even know where to start. I see a lot of things. I see markings, marking number, origin, gender. All these things are not for the purpose of adding a species. These are for the purpose of searching for something in your inventory. So how do you find the inventory after you move on to species inventory? You look here, you roll down. That's how you add species. If you don't roll down, you will be stuck here and asking me, how do I add species? Because I can't see my inventory. So the inventory does not pop on your screen automatically. You must scroll down to add a species. So now I'm going to add a species. Add species number 1. It will ask you for scientific name. It's already, you already selected it. So it's the African gray. You have put it in what enclosure? Enclosure number 01 in my facility. It's what, did you breed this animal or did you buy it from somewhere else? So I have acquired this animal. You are adding the species one by one. Remember, they're all being migrated to the manual system, to the electronic system. When did you acquire it? So it's going to say, I bought it in 2013. Year of first breeding is not forced. So you can, if it is not bred, it is not bred. You don't have to report it as a year of birth. What gender is the bird? It's a male. What status is it in your stock? Is a breeding stock. Please do not select dead. We want to ask for that to be removed. But if you are adding something, you cannot select the dead specimen in your, as you are migrating now. So you select breeding stock. You can manage it later by removing dead and all of that. But initially, as you are adding the first, migrating from manual to electronic, please select breeding stock. And then you say it's acquired. Is it captive bred, wild, or pre-convention? You say it's captive bred. How do you know? How did you get it? It was self-bred, purchased. Generation, do you know what generation is unknown? I don't know. I got it from somewhere else. I just know it's captive bred. So maybe I'll just say F1 because I got a closed ring on the bed. And then it asks you two things now. It says to you, you must make an attachment. So select the type of attachment that you're making. That means that shows you that this animal is legally in your possession. Currently, this feature is forced. So you won't be able to add a bid if you don't attach something to this application. We are going to request that during the migration, which means during the movement between manual and electronic, this feature not be forced, because you already have proof of legal acquisition and all your other forms and affidavits and all things that you did when you were registered already. So we're not going to ask for you to force for per species, but for now, it is forced. If you start doing this tomorrow, you're going to be required to attach something. So you can, for now, attach an invoice, an old invoice of the species, or the affidavit that you have used in the past, or you have used to apply for the permit in the past. So that's the attachment, proof of legal acquisition for this bed that is in your breeding stock. Marking. So you must indicate how is this bed marked. So you click here. This bed is round. It's got a ring number, and I must add the ring number, and I put it as M1. Something I can remember. 8899 778 66. Right? That's the ring number, and my bed is added. Please note, if you have information on the father of the bed, a ring number that you can associate with this bed that you just added, you can add it. You don't have to do this, but you can if you have the information and you have the time to go through the records and edit it. So if you have any other breeding records, you can add them. If the bed has had offsprings and you remember the ring number, you can add them here. And any notes about the particular bed, you can add it here. So this is for you to use it in your own breeding records. You can mark this bed had a broken wing and you know how to ID it. Any additional notes on the animal. If you have anything on the mother or anything on the father, the marking edit. It is not forced. You do not require to add this, but you may, as for your own records, add this information. But I'm satisfied that I've put in where's my enclosure number? It always disappears. Every time you go down, it disappears. Enclosure number 01. And I've added my attachment of showing that these animals, I bought it, and the proof or the affidavit. I press OK. Don't want an error. There's my first African grey in my facility. This is my current facility that I already have the registration for. And that's how you add the next one. I have hands. Questions in the box. What if you moved it around?
If the enclosure number changes, you can change that at any time.
Yes, so the enclosure number, after you have registered and you have moved the bed from enclosure 16 to 69, you can go back to your own breeding stock and change the enclosure number of the particular bed. Happy. When will that update so we can migrate easier, please? The upgrade will be done as soon as possible. I don't know when the date will be. So in the meantime, you can start migrating and attaching your affidavits as per bed that you're adding. But in the next week or so, hopefully it will be removed, that requirement to attach something for every bed that you're adding. I'm hoping the next week. But I mean, I'm not working for CETA. I can only put pressure on them to do it quickly. But we were made aware of that. It's going to be a bit irritating during the migration to add every time a same document to every species. But as I said to you guys, we were working on it. And I already sent an email this morning to Sandra to ask her to please have a look at this, if that can be done just for the migration period. So let's leave it at that. So you can start now migrating tomorrow and start uploading your individual beds, and you're not in a hurry because you can save and go home and drink tea. You don't have to put all 500 beds or all the guys from Limpopo with the 1,000 beds and all of those guys, those big facilities. You don't have to add them all in one day. You can do them systematically, slowly, and add them on the thing. We will talk about the time period after this, but I'm just saying, there are guys that have, few beds, and there are guys with lots of beds. So it's not an urgent migration. You know, there's nothing, we're not in a hurry to migrate. We just want to get you started moving into an online system. So you can save as you see there, and then you can add the next one. You can log out and come back tomorrow and continue adding your bed. So I'm gonna
Add another 2 or 3.
yeah, I'm gonna add, yeah. So I'm gonna add another bred one in 23, and then year of first breeding, I'm gonna end the gender is a male, and the status is a breeding stock on my facilities. You see, if I say breeding stock and whatever, and I bred it, it blocks me from adding other things. So it's captive, is self-bred. Generation is an F1 on my species. It's not exported. I shouldn't be choosing this in adding, but anyway, we have to do this for the first time. Then I attach a proof of legal acquisition and attach my affidavit, and I press species marking, and I choose a ring number, and I say ring number 000102 ZA /ZA. This is to show you that you can use different characters in your ring number. You're not stuck with just numbers. Eh? And what other thing must I say about that? There's something about spaces and whatever.
Yeah, spaces. Spaces and microchips.
No, microchips, I'm talking about spaces. So if you create a space between the zeros and the ones and the 1, 2 and the whatever, the system will automatically make it one thing. Eh? It won't create, it removes the spaces. That's what I'm trying to say. Add. Oh, I'm the one who didn't add. You see, I was doing something wrong. You must press add. After you add the ring number, you must press add. It doesn't just add itself. And then it will appear here, and then you can okay it. And that's my next bit. So I'm adding my next bit. And a hand.
If a bird has 2 ring numbers, can you add 2 ring numbers?
Where?
On this book.
The one that you are registered with. We don't have 2 ring numbers. So if you need to, so if a bird has 2 ring numbers, you must add the number that you are registered with your management authority with that ring number, not the new number that you've put because the other one was cancelled. That we can deal with in another way. We'll find a way to work around those, what we call exceptional circumstances. Eh? We cannot develop a system for exceptional circumstances. We only do it for standardized problems, and the exceptional circumstances we have to deal case by case and see how best we handle it. But the number that you are now currently registered with your management authority is the one that must go on the system, not the new number that you've put on because the other numbers got too old or something like that. I know those things happen, but these are not normal things. They're abnormal things. We'll have to deal with them as and when we run into them and see how we handle them. There are other ways to work with the system in the background to fix things. Hopefully that will happen, or will be less cases than usual, because these are exceptional circumstances. So I'm adding another bit so that people can see. Remember, the number of the enclosure. It was bred in my facilities. Yeah, first breeding. It is a female captive. I must add the ring number. And I then add attachment, and I add permits as a proof of legal acquisition, and then I edit that, and I say okay. I don't remember pressing add on that. Status field, status, where's the status? It's a breeding stock, and I've already selected that. Markings, I didn't press add, then it's added, and there's another bird. Generation is not added. So you can see if you're making mistakes, it will tell you. 2 hands, Michael. Michael.
Paul, just for clarity for the clients, and correct me if I'm wrong, if the add function is removed temporarily from the system just for migration purposes,
Yes.
the management authority shall require your Excel spreadsheet to verify the additional birds that was not previously on your manual registration. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, but we'll get that. We'll get to that, Michael. We'll get to that. Not now. When we get to the proof of legal acquisition, where they must attach all the previous activities and attach all their registration and certificate, we will explain to them what the criteria will be to push these things through. Another question? David?
Chair, at species markings, can't you add another marking there before you say okay?
There's species marking. There is a couple here. There's a drop down. There's a microchip. There's a ring number. There's a transponder. There is DNA. There's a unit of measure. Which one do you want, David?
Chair, can't you add two of the same? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, you mean the same bed with this two markings, like a transponder and a thing. Let me see if it works.
Or if it has two
So
rings.
I can create a microchip number and I put 7788999, and then I add. And then under the same bed, this is the same bed, I add a microchip. And then I say bara 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 bara, and I add. Correct, you can.
Okay, so there, if you got two rings, you can add both there.
Yeah, you can add the two rings here, I guess. We'll have to test it. But you know, it's not my favorite thing to happen, this double ring numbers thing, because it creates a lot of questions. But every time someone does this, there must be questions from the management authority if you see beds that have got double rings about why and whatever. I guess the system allows you to do it, David, that's what you're saying. But you, as the management authority, then you must apply your mind whether you want to allow such things. Because for us, it speaks to
Yes,
a closed ring is a closed ring, and it's marked once and for the rest of the base life. Otherwise, you don't know where it comes from. So it must not be a standard procedure. Oh, is everyone okay, David?
Yes, sir, I'm fine. Thank you.
It's got two microchips, but not a ring. It forces the ring number. Must have a ring.
Where's the marking? Oh, it doesn't have a ring number. So you can put the open ring there. You have to put the open ring. And then, so what it says, I put two microchip numbers, It says, but where is your ring number? So it requires that the ring number be attached for, Appendix 1 bits. So you will need to attach the ring number. The guys in Cape Town are going to ask me, what if you don't have a ring number? So we will talk about this. Maybe let me ask Cape Nature now. You do have facilities that don't have any ring numbers. Cape Nature? Cape Nature, you can unmute and just explain to me. You have facilities for Appendix 1 facilities that do not have a ring number and only have microchips. Or is it too difficult to respond to now?
Michael?
Daniel, Michael.
Michael is on.
Michael?
Daniel,
Michael,
you're
can you-
first.
Daniel, can clarify for me?
Okay, I don't see Daniel, but the breeders in my area all have ring numbers. So if I can confirm that.
Yeah, okay. No, it's fine. We will deal with the special cases of no microchip numbers. We might need to just make sure that everyone has a ring number, even if they have a microchip. Or how do we deal with them? Because they create an abnormality on the system when someone has a microchip marking, a microchip number only, but without a ring number. So we need to deal with that. It's just one, I think, abnormal situation, but we can work with that offline between whoever has the situation and the management authority. Ring number. James McGill. I'm talking about African grays, né, James? So don't jump on tigers. On tigers, you will have to. It's not animals. James.
Don't jump ahead of me. No, you buy an African grey from the public. Maybe it's 20 years old or 10 years old. It's not run. You know that CITES won't have to have closed rings. How do you deal with that bird? You bring it into your stock and it doesn't go.
That bird is not for trade. That bird is not for international trade. It can only go for personal purposes, and it needs an import permit first.
All right, so transponder won't work, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. We will run it on open ring, and it will go out of the country for personal purposes. It's not going out as a trade. You know, it's not for commercial purposes.
No, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
For a printer can buy it, reading purposes in country.
And we'll talk about that. I don't want that stuff anymore. The thing is finished. Okay. I don't know what's going on. It does not mean first generation. F1. Okay. So now this is my inventory. Né? You can see the nice thing is that it tells you how many bays you have in your total here. So as you are adding, they become too many for you. You are getting tired, but you know that you have 250 African grays. You can look at the total and make sure, oh, I have. And if you can't find something, you can just say, why can't I find my marking? And then you can type in the ring number to check if it's in the system, you know. You've added so many ring numbers here that you don't know which one. You can, on your manual system, your paper at home, you just type in the ring number to check that you've added that bit. So you can search for it here by typing the ring number and you search and it will come up if it's added. If it's not on the system, you see it's not in your thing. So your inventory is here, and if you're happy, you move on now. So now for the next phase. Are you happy with that? Let me see. No question about how to add a bird on your facility, or a tiger or a cheetah on a registered facilities, whether it's non-commercial, because this thing can apply for both, whether for non-commercial or commercial. This is what you have to do. We all have to do this part. Any question on this? This is the most important part of today, is how to add each bid. We know that the irritating thing is that we must add per bid proof of legal acquisition for now until we change that on the system, so that you don't have to do that for every application. When the migration is done, that will go back, because these people are already registered. Any question on that before I move on to my next tab? This is very important that you're comfortable with this page. Okay. I am so happy. Everyone is happy.
Paul, there's a question in the chat.
Is this one? Oh, this one. Okay, we're just checking it. Apologies, I know that this is not a meeting for this, but with new registration, don't have facility number yet. What is the difference between commercial and non-commercial registration? How do we know which one will register facility first time? Thank you. All right, I don't want to take that question because it's going to take me a new session, but my colleague here who is dealing with the chat is going to respond within the chat. In short, a non-commercial facility cannot trade with a commercially registered facility, number one. Number two, you cannot export for commercial purposes, which means whoever you are selling to in the other side of the country cannot sell that bird further. If he receives it, it stays in his facilities for breeding purposes. He cannot trade with it. He can only trade with the future birds that he breeds from that stock. But the original birds that came from South Africa to that facility in the other country cannot be traded. Is the most important thing. So the export or the import into that facility is for non-commercial purposes. Number three, another explanation about non-commercial is that in non-commercial, you'll find that will register you for these other funny birds that are Appendix 1, the Amazons and the other things and the other things. When you want to apply for Amazon for registration in commercial purposes, we won't allow you to register because we don't have proof of legal acquisition in this country that shows that this animal came in here legally back in 1917, whatever. And because these applications end up with the Secretariat and other countries object to it, we're trying to avoid that drama if we don't have that paper that proves that this animal came in here correctly. Number two, it is important to note for every commercial registration, when you want to commercially trade in Appendix 1 species, you must have evidence that your facility is contributing to the conservation of the species in the wild. So the automatic things that I've been having African grays all my life, I don't never want to know whether it's happening in Nigeria or DRC, I want to trade. That is no longer the case. African grays are no longer on Appendix 2. You need to demonstrate that your breeding facility contributes to conservation of the species in the wild, to maintain your registration. So don't be surprised, a couple of years later, they tell you that you must remove your registration from the Secretariat because there is no evidence that South Africa's breeding sector of African greys contributes anything to conservation of the species in where they come from, not in South Africa, where they come from. So please find a way to find a project with someone somewhere to contribute to conservation. I know that Parrot Breeders Association of South Africa have a program that they are running with the university, trying to find somewhere to link, because they also are in the same boat as everyone who's got a commercially registered African grey facility to prove that they are contributing to conservation. Don't forget, trade in Appendix 1 species is not commercial purpose. It's not for business anymore. You must have a reason for existence. Unfortunately, we are not even a range state. So we're just making money off other people's species. Let me put it that way, blindly that way. These animals come from DRC and Nigeria, and they themselves, as those countries that these animals come from, have no commercial, any benefit of this. They used to make commercial benefit when this was on Appendix 2. As soon as it became Appendix 1, we must justify our trade. And the only way to do that is to contribute somehow to conservation, is one of the questions in this list. So I will get to it when I get there. But there must be evidence that your facility is doing this. And I say to you guys, collectively as breeders in South Africa, you need to find a way to solve this problem. Because I don't want to tell you the bad news that you're no longer registered, so you cannot export for commercial purposes. And we go back to that non-commercial stuff that doesn't work. Anyway. All right. I am moving on to the next step. There's no question about how to add a species, eh? And the provinces have seen it twice now, and you guys have seen it 5 times now, how to add a species on the list. If Marenda Bekus.
Yes, hi. Sorry, I've just got one question on when you're adding for the, where they said that the button would get removed for when you transfer over to the electronic system. Would it be, if we start adding and it's not been removed yet, would it be fine if we just add then your current permit the whole time as proof, or do you want specific?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with you. Add anything, because the real question that you want to answer is going to be at the end, eh? So you can add your current payment as the or the invoice or payment, whatever. But remember, when you add it, it asks you what type of document you're adding. It asks you, is it a payment, an invoice, or is it proof of legal acquisition? Is it an affidavit? So you just click the document that you want to attach, and then you attach it there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Narendra, you're the cheetah person, né?
Sorry?
You do cheetahs, né? You're from cheetah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool, perfect. So with you, if you have any other non-commercial registration besides the cheetah, like a tiger or like other things, you must make sure that you click here and add another species, né? Yeah. And all of them, and then you'll add the inventory for each species here.
Yes, will do.
Okay, perfect. Now we move on to the next slide. I'm so happy that there's someone different than African grace. Then the next slide.
What if a bird die? What if a bird die?
Don't add it to the initial migration, eh?
Yes, but after I add it.
After you have migrated and you have the electronic registration, you will be able to remove it from your register and report it as dead.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Now we move on to migration. So we are busy migrating now. So when you get to the questions, these questions you already answered. You already registered for non-commercial or you already registered for commercial. And the same questions are asked. facility to house and hold current stock. So usually we'll attach the photos. If you're a new application, you attach the photos and all of these things and all of that. But because you already are registered, you already complete the form and all that, please attach, see right here, see attachments. Therefore, you're not going to be required to do anything here. You do what? See attachments. See attachments. See, if you don't type anything here, this thing won't submit. It will kick you out. You must write, see attachment. The incubation, see attachments. You're already registered. You've got the registration. You've got that form that you submitted to us when you were registering. So just say see attachments, because you want to attach it at the end of the process. See attachments. Veterinary service available, see attachments. Record keeping, see attachment. Then I press save. Then we move on to procedures. How does your management authority monitor you? See attachments. This question one day is going to come back to bite us, but anyway, your response is actually your management authority response for the new applications. How do they monitor your facility? Strategies. This is the important questions now. Strategies, use or activities conducted by the breeding operators to contribute to conservation of wild populations of the species. You hear the wording. The wording is quite clear. What does your activity do to contribute to wild populations? Are you doing any research? Are you partnering with anyone in the research sector? Are you partnering with anyone? So if you are registered for commercial purposes, you must make sure that you contribute something. So we are going to force this button to have some kind of attachment. Either a letter that says that you are partnering with KZN Wildlife that is working in Nigeria, or University of Pretoria, or you are partnering with Parrot Breeders Association. We need to start forcing this button here, that people start showing us evidence of their contribution. So I'm going to attach my contribution to conservation. The attachment and save. References that was also in your, as I say, see attachments. Okay, now what did I do? Did I mess up somewhere? And save. Messages, if you want to write a letter to say, dear Mpo, I'm already registered and have copies attached. Please treat as urgent. Regards, Mpo. So what I'm saying is that you can write a message as usual to your management authority, begging them to treat your registration as urgent because you want to apply online in the future. You save. It goes, so the message will be received. Remember, colleagues, this is not a reassessment. The provinces are not assessing your registration because you are already registered. But if your figures come out with some abnormalities of number of birds that you have versus what they have on their manual system, of course, they won't just press a button and register you. They will have to reinspect you and check where did the birds come from, or where does these cheetahs come from, or where does the tigers come from? Because your initial registration, you only had 2. Now you're saying you have 50 African greys. Where did that come from? So that is the only time that it will trigger a reassessment. But otherwise, if your system, your information to your management authority is up to date, you're already registered on the manual system, they already know who you are, they don't need to reassess you. We're just migrating you. So what do we add under attachments? Number one thing I need you to add, very important, proof of legal acquisition. What is the proof of legal acquisition? Affidavit. You did affidavits at the beginning of the process. I want them to attach them again to your registration. Do not ignore them. I want them back on this under proof of legal acquisition. What else do you want to prove when you attach this? You must attach your proof of legal acquisition, your certificate that you've received, eh? A copy of the certificate or your permit that you received from the province after you are registered. They give you a ZA number if you're registered for commercial purposes. Attach that manual one. If you don't have a certificate, attach the application form that was approved. So that initial form that is 5,000 pages long, that had everything from the photos, from the base, the security, everything. I want it here. It must be attached so that it is a record of your facilities being recorded here. So the original form that you applied to for registration must be attached here.
Original
application. I know some provinces give you a certificate, some don't give you certificates. The electronic system will give you certificates for CITES registrations. If you have the certificate, you attach it here. What other thing did we say? Some provinces charge you, some provinces don't charge you. So I'll say ID. And there's something that we agreed on again. We want to see your breeding record now. Like all your breeding records that you have on Excel spreadsheet. And you have your breeding records that you know how many bays I had in the past, how many died, and all of that. We want it here. And this will be compared to the one that they have in their offices before they decide this requires attention or not, doesn't require attention. If you do all of this, we press submit. Oh, cannot. What the? Never seen it.
Dennis Garner has a question.
Dennis, you can raise your hand, you can speak.
Hi, Umpo. Just a question. Let's say you've made an error in one of your documents or you've uploaded the incorrect document. Is there can you rectify that? Can you go back and change that? Or once you've submitted it, is that final?
Let me see. I'll come back to you. I want to see what happens if I submit. Oh, come on. This is the problem because that's why I'm applicant so many. I don't know it's too active. Please send everything now. Anyway, you can see what you need to do when you get stuck, eh? It will tell you where to go. You just have to follow the instruction. Finally, I agree that I'm applying for registration. There we go. Submitted to your management authority. So Dennis is saying, what happens if I've submitted? I want to check something. So let's see if I'm able to do anything about it. This is an application that's sitting, waiting for approval. From your end, as the applicant for registration for commercial and conference, this is it in terms of the process. You are done. You have applied for migration. You should not be reassessed unless there are specific questions about the information you submitted. You have submitted your latest breeding records under the proof of legal acquisition, as we agreed, and every one of the provinces are here. They will look at those things that we agreed together here that you must attach, and then we move on. So let's see if you can edit or not even edit, maybe call it back, cancel. Yes, you can cancel, Dennis. It will come back to your inbox. You can't edit it here. You need to cancel it. It comes back to you in your inbox and you start again. Then you can edit. It will be under the same, create a new whatever and goes ahead.
If you,
I don't want to test it. So you cancel it, it goes back to your inbox, and then you reapply. You click on it in your inbox, and then you edit it again, and you do whatever you need to do, and then you send it back. I'm afraid of testing it because I don't have the time to test it now here. But click on cancel, you should come back to your inbox. I want to see how far I can get in approving it from my side. I don't know if I can get all the way to the end because this one is a secretariat one, but let's see. Because I don't know if I've got the DFFE approvals. Yeah, but let's see. This is what we couldn't do in the first training, colleagues. So let's, in the first session, let's just see what we can do. I've logged in as a Limpopo supervisor. So we have agreed that this is a application that is already manual approved. So the amount of work for the management authority is quite easy. So this thing must flow. It must be quick. They already know you, they know your facility. What they must do is just make sure that the information corresponds with what is in your manual application. The species inventory is the same that is in your manual application. They check the ring numbers. They say that you have 5,000 beds, but in your manual you had only 2 beds. So that's when this thing won't be approved. But if the stock is making sense, you don't need to be checked. They can check message that you wrote to them. They can check the attachments. Very importantly, they will have to check this part. And the provinces know this by now. The system does not know how to read. It is the official behind the computer, but must still read the documents that is attached. So if I have attached proof of legal acquisition, I've written affidavit, I click here and you attach your ID number. That does not help me. So it must be the affidavit that you have attached. It must be the original application form that with the full photos of everything that was on that facility. It must be the ID number. It must be your breeding records that are attached, that are corresponding with the records that the province have before they can move on to the next page. Let's see, verify. Verify with who? Oh no, don't do it. Okay, is it verified this role of getting the number from us? Is it transfer or verify? No, I forgot. I think it's transfer. Verifies its precaution. I hope. All right, so I will then at this say transfer this to the case manager. The case manager is the next step of assessment. It goes to that person, and then I log out and log in as the case manager. This as a client, you must not worry too much about. It's not your steps, it's only the provincial steps. Where is case manager? Phone is on fire today. Don't do this to me. No, man. This is sad because it would have been nice. Do this one. No. Afraid of logging this thing out, otherwise I'm going to struggle to find that to help me. Case manager Limpopo. Ah! Okay. So, colleagues, I'm trying to figure out if I can show you to the end of the process, but it seems as if my logins are misbehaving.
Mpo?
Yes.
I think there's spaces next to case manager Limpopo. Just delete those spaces.
Wow.
Afterwards, behind it. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Ne? Oh, that's why. I'm so afraid of clicking because I don't know how many passwords they give me a chance to do. Okay. Diego! Thank you, David.
Was hier, broer.
Okay, so the case manager receives the, the request for approval. This is someone that's already registered. They will also check the same things. Is this applicant okay and everything, and then it must be sent to DFFE. This is why I'm not sure if it goes through a verify or it goes through a transfer. But because it's a decision-making process, I'm going to try to transfer. So the case manager will click on DFFE, select one, supervisor, and then Scarlett Johnson. Gone. The application now is with us at DFFE. Remember, this facility is already registered. Now we're doing this just for their process. And then we are now with Scarlett Johnson. So we must find Scarlett Johnson here somewhere. Scarlett Johnson. Okay, she's already there. I don't know. Log out. Again. Okay. DFFE. Supervisor DFFE. There's Scarlett Johnson's. That's the same application that we just did of those African Greys. He would look at it at DFFE level. Already this application is approved. I repeat, it's registered with the Secretariat. And they will transfer this to case manager, Johnny Depp. Do I have Johnny Depp's login details? That's good. Johnny Depp, there we go. Johnny Depp. Then the case manager whose chicken is that? Okay. Johnny Depp has a lot of work that he has not done. You see the whole range. Okay, this is a very interesting part. So what will happen usually is that we will refer this to the secretariat. Now we will click here. Just remember all the steps, it's very difficult. And then we wait for 3 months for the process to go to CITES, to be approved and whatever. And then once it comes back, we say notification received. New application, yes, but I must still do this steps that cannot be undone. Understand? You still have to go through the steps, even if you don't have to do this. I just clicked on it, I just unclicked on it. So it's back. Once it's back, I can transfer this payment. I hope I can send it back. Okay, I must go back to the case officer. Yes, it must go back. But I didn't even history. Unit 6 referred. I actually wanted to send it to. Oh, it might be transferred to case officer. I don't have a name. Yeah, who's gonna be here on my list? Margot Robbie. I'm not happy that I don't have Margot Robbie on my list. It doesn't give me an option to send to someone else. Sorry, what's good? I really wanted to finish the registration so that we can see the inventory of the registered facility. That's what I wanted to get to the end. But now I'm struggling to get to the end because of one thing. Sandra called me back.
Somebody asked that they checked which registration comes first.
Which registration comes back?
Between the commission.
Okay. Can do this. Okay, I was trying to what? Transfer. It's actually, let's go to someone within the department and then that person writes the final thing to backfill the programs. But now Sandra has not created the 3 steps, the last step. This is frustrating. I can't show you the very end of the process because my steps are missing on this test site that they developed for us. And I'm trying to see if I can get a shortcut. But I think if you download the permit, let's see what the permit will look like. You see, once the process comes to an end, your registration will come out like this. You'll have that unique registration number here, the name of your facility, the species that are in there. You will see there won't be any number of quantity of your beds because that will be in an inventory. But the number will be here. My problem now is that I can't get to this stage where I show you the final payment that was issued by the province because I can't transfer it within the DFF steps, which is there on the system. It's just not here on the training side.
Okay.
I'm just failing that part. And what is also unfortunate about that, I can't show you now how once you got your permit, you can edit your newborn animals and animals that are going forward and all of that. Let's see if this Johnny Depp does not have a permit that Sandra might have issued in the past.
Well, at the moment, the big thing is to load.
Yeah, just to migrate. Yeah. So this will be an internal process that we must do, but the province has also seen that. So we will send this internally here. It will go from the supervisor to me, and then to case officer, and then to the supervisor, and then back to the province with an approved number, that's ZA number that's with the secretariat. And then it goes back to the inbox of the applicant so that your registration is complete. You are now officially online, and then you can move on. And then once the migration is finished, we're going to now talk about how to apply, because that's a different process from whether you apply as a breeder or when you apply as an exporter who bought from a breeder that is registered. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. First, I just want you to note how to add the species and how to migrate. The rest of these steps are internal between DFFE and the province, and that should not take us too long to figure out. We already spoke about today. It's just that I cannot show you till the end because you can see I'm struggling to, this test site does not have names that I need to transfer this to. And Sandra can't find. Okay, she's online. All right, as we try to find Sandra, and we also take some questions, please, about registrations. I'm also gonna try and see if I can log in as someone. Is it Donald, Donald or something, or Dennis something? Any other question? Dennis, you can raise your hand. Oh, I see your hand. You can talk.
Sorry, Umpo, I couldn't log on immediately. I don't know, something went wrong with my phone. I just missed the steps up until where you actually start loading the species. From where it opens up and says applicant EAP, from there. If you could maybe just run through quickly, just, not have to go into detail, but just where you click from there.
So where did you lose me?
I lost you from where you actually start. When you go on to Department of, from DFF, when you open up and you're already registered and you want to start loading your species, just to get there.
Oh, you didn't see me loading the species?
No, I saw that, but the previous steps just to get there, where did you click?
Oh, before we got to the
from there, from environment.
Yes, the number one is that this is Jimmy, eh? It's Dennis. Okay, so you came in late. Okay, Dennis. You've never used the system before, Dennis?
No, we haven't loaded. I'm registered already, but I just haven't loaded any stock yet.
Oh, okay, that's quite easy. So you start here. So you just come here. You come to environment.
Okay.
I'm logged in as the wrong person. Let me go back. I'm logged in as the wrong person. So let me log in as the right person. What's the name of my client? Donald something. Yeah? Come on. Just hang on. I'm just trying to get this thing to wake up now. I'm gonna get the invite. Scarlett Johnson. It's not Scarlett Johnson. It's Donald. Donald. So this would be like you looking on your normal thing. You come to environment. Yes. You come to DFFE. And this will be your normal inbox, where you apply for your other permits. They will appear here. And then if you're applying for a new registration or registration on an existing facility, you say new application, you already have the manual registration. You click on CITES. You click on registration. This should be registrations. Registration, eh?
Yes.
Under registration, you will now find the different types of registration you can apply for inside it. Eh? The national trade to register as non-commercial purposes. So those were other Appendix 1 base that are not African grades. You'll register here. You'll have a permit for this. Or you have the African grades one, which you are registered for commercial purpose already. You click on application to register with the Secretariat. We know that you don't want to have to go all the way to Secretariat, but we need to go through this process anyway to get you migrated. So this is up to this stage where you lost us. Then you accept, agree, and you start applying. Oh, let me just go ahead because I think you missed the first two parts, but the first two parts are the same.
You know, from there I'm okay, Umpo. I just needed
You're
that
okay,
first
yeah,
couple of
that's what I
steps.
thought. That's what I thought.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So you know how to start and how to get to where you are. I think the important thing is that those who have never ever used the system must remember that they must register on the system. All right. I'm still praying that Sandra comes back to me before I finish here. So what do I want to try and do? I need to come to Carl, Mr. Jones, and see if he's got any permits that were issued to him in the past.
James Madiel has a question.
James.
Yeah, can I just ask a question, Umpa? I just need to know where to register my translocation company, my export company, because I have a SADIS one registered for trade, but the conditions on the permit says if I export an animal for trade purposes, it has to come from a CITES one trader that's registered with CITES. If I export for zoological breeding purposes, it has to come from a CITES one breeder. I just need to know, where do I register that registration? Is it under this one for trade, or do I go to the one just under breeders?
We're not ready for you.
Sorry?
Someone's computer is clashing with me. We're not ready for this stage to move you there, but let me show you, because I'm just wanting to migrate those who have breeding facilities, not that trading. Those have a different process of registering, but I'll show you just for the sake of showing you.
Look, I know the system works.
You apply here.
Do I go here, or do I go to the breeder side?
Yeah. No, not the breeder. I'm migrating the breeders first. So
okay.
you will be registered as a what you call a trader.
Yes.
And you already have a permit as a trader. So you come here and say registration, and I was not registered as register as a wildlife trader, a vendor. That's not you. Scientific institution, artificial propagated species, person who trades in Appendix 1 species. That's you.
Okay.
This is the registration.
Okay. I've got the permit. I mean, I've registered for many years, so I just want to know where to register.
Yeah, that's where you register.
Okay.
I will have a session with you after the migration, because we'll need to show you how to apply.
All right, no problem.
Because you can't apply from someone whose bird or tiger or cheetah is not uploaded on the system.
No, I understand that. That's
yeah, so at that time, we'll come and have another session to deal with you guys and the breeders to show you how to apply for an export permit. I'm just intending to deal with these guys that have a lot of stocks and live animals that are in breeding facilities that must first register them and get them online before we move on to, after they are online, they are breeding stocks online, they are reporting their death and their breath. How then do you apply for an export permit?
Okay.
So I am now gonna and then try and find someone, ask questions. Having seen this as breeders and the provinces, how much time do you think is sufficient to allow people to migrate? In my brain, I already have something like today, okay, is what? June. The 12th of March. I'm already sniffing at April, May, June. 2 months. End of May. 1st of June. 1st of June. 2 months to allow for the migration of about 160 facilities, 200 facilities in the country to online. And there is no time pressure. Understand what I mean? So you don't have to sleep at night. You can sleep, you can save and add your species. So I'm asking you, is the 1st of June a reasonable time to allow for this migration of this Appendix 1 commercial and non-commercial quick approval of those who are already registered, not the new applications? Two months. Thumbs up.
I'm okay, thumbs up.
Okay.
2 questions, 3 questions.
Yo. Epic hunting. Who's epic hunting? Okay. Jimmy, is it an old hand or a new hand?
No, it's a new one. Yeah, the only reason I'm asking the question, I breed cotton tops, as you know, and these animals are in colonies. So it's gonna mean, because you can't go in there and take out monkeys you bred last year. You have to take out the whole group and rescan the whole group, because the thing. So I don't have 2 months going to do it, because we have to get the vets in and we have to catch all these monkeys in different cages, bring them out, recheck the numbers on who's the parents, and then insert transponders into the youngsters that were bred. So maybe if you want to make it, I think reasonable time would be about 3 months, just to give us a bit of gap.
How are you currently reporting on this on the manual system? I want to know how does it affect your electronic, because being registered and then adding your newborns later is still not an offense.
Yeah, but
I want to know. We
allocate the microchip to the animal, but we can't catch groups of tamarins every 3 months or something. You just mess the whole
No, I agree with you. I think my only argument about the time, extending so much time, is that currently you are legally required to have all the breeding stock registered.
No,
and they must be microchipped.
They can be fine. It's not a problem to have all the numbers.
Yes, then do that. All your newborns can be done after your registration, because you can still come back and add your new stock on the system after you're registered.
I understand that, but I've got newborns that they're not newborns, they're 8 months, 9 months, 10 months already old. But they haven't put the chip in the monkey because we're not going to catch the whole group.
That's not a problem. You can still add them later. It doesn't stop you from adding them later.
Okay, all right.
I'm talking about just migrating you.
Okay.
Migrating that of which you have marked now, you can migrate. Those that you know that you need to get back, it's going to take you 3 or 4 months to add them. You can't export them because you don't have any microchip on them. And you
I
can
understand. I understand.
Yeah.
No, that's
so
fine.
you can leave them on your property as long as your province understands that you've got monkeys running around that are unmarked, which is very uncomfortable to me. But anyway, that's the way things work where you are. We'll talk to them separately about this. And then when you are ready to report the newborns, you just go back to the system and add them.
It's fine.
Because the newborn will always come, Jimmy, that will never stop.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying is these won't be newborns. They might be 8 or 10 months old already, but we have the chip number for them. It's just not the animal till we get.
I think. Okay, no problem. That you can deal with your province about, but you can still register. You don't have, because for me, my understanding is that they are not marked anyway at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're fine. You'll add them whenever you're ready. You want to be ready to add them. You want to add them, so it's fine. But it creates a problem for me in that I don't like the way the management system works in your province. And I'll talk to them about it and you later, just to make sure that the animals does not stay too long without being marked. But I understand with monkeys, there's issues about fragile, too young to be marked, and all those things. So we will deal with it. But all Appendix 1 species must be marked. It's an expectation, and there must be monitoring of such. Anyway, we can talk about offline. That's not important for now.
All right.
Okay, can we move to Gert?
Thank you, Mpo. I agree with the 1st of June. I think that's fine. However, we must just bear in mind that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. You can start from the beginning.
Okay, sorry. I agree, and I think Antonio will agree as well. The 1st of June is fine, with definitely for the people online now. But we have more registered breeders that are not online because they don't have internet access, computer access, and all of that. So we'll have to help them with physical meetings and training to do that. So I think we must just leave a window open just for them to catch up.
Yes. So this 2 months actually is because we are thinking about that. We are thinking that now that most of you are here, there's about 160 people here or something like that, 140 people are here. You need to spread the message. And if you need us to come to Limpopo because breeders are in a room and they have 440 people. This is more people than the research facility in South Africa, so I don't know. So if you are somewhere in Limpopo, you've got a club or whatever, you've got 20, 30 people, you can arrange for us to come and do like a assistance session. So you sit down, you try and register, and then we stand behind you. We say, okay, click here, click here, click here. This is how you add the bed. And you know, you guys are here, you help the next person, you help the next person, you help the next person. But we are willing, and we want to put it in our travel request for the next April and the future, that we will be doing these ad hoc assistance sessions where you log on with your own profile. We're just here to just show you where to click. We'll try and split it amongst our colleagues here in the office so that we assist. But you still need to arrange yourself. Understand? I'm not going to plan something in another province or whatever to assist you. If something is easy, we don't need request to travel or approval to travel. If you have to leave our office here, and please use your provinces too. They've been here, they've seen how these things, we have had a session with them this morning. Also use them as the local authorities to come show you what to do. So let's use everybody, the clubs, the provinces, us at national. If we're needed, we can come and support. Because the system is not ours, it's for everybody, including the process, the provinces and the clubs and whoever have applicant grace to help each other to get people to register. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gert. And then we move on to epic hunting. Is it epic hunting? Info. Epic. It's gone. We move on to Dennis Gunn.
Umpo, just $1 million question. How stable is the software? Will it be able to handle this big influx of migration? Do you think we should allow a little window there in case it bombs out, or are you happy that it's going to be functional?
It is what it is. So we have to see it as it works out. So that's why I don't want to create you guys to be logged on every day, every morning and whatever. You know, so log in and try and register. If we start bombing out, we're having problems, we will know that is because of the amount of people online trying to do these things. And then we'll ask that to be increase the buffer or whatever, the band, whatever needs to be increased. But the number one thing that you must know, and all of you must know these things, please check your own connection first before you complain about the system. Usually the Windows or whatever, what you call this, the browser that you are using on your computer is important. If you're using an old browser or an old computer, you might struggle with these things. Two, there is load shedding. Load shedding might be having in Pretoria, not happening in your area, but affecting the speed and affecting the connection, and it just bombs out. Be patient with the system. That can happen. So don't call every 2 minutes when you have such problems. You just hang on and try later. You can try doing it in the evening when you know there's less traffic. So there's all these things that we can only see when you start using it. We can't test them once people, until you guys log on and start and use the system. Let's see if it can withstand this. The system was made to withstand everything happening on it. Registrations, trade in Appendix 1, trade in Appendix 2. We just started it with small, so that we make sure that we have enough support around it. But for now, let's go on the system, register. If it starts crashing, affecting my Appendix 2 applicants, and people are complaining, we will then speak to CIT about how to increase the frequencies and all of that. But we don't know until it happens, Dennis. So my answer is that we will find out. We'll cross the bridge when we get to it. For now, log on, register your facilities. You have no time pressure. You register your species one by one. Remember 2 things. Have a good, fast internet where you are. These slow things don't work so well. So please try to find yourself a good connection, Wi-Fi somewhere, and do it. Even if you have to go to someone's house or in the internet, I don't know what, where you have got good, stable, reliable internet to tick off the box of what's wrong with this thing. Is so slow. Number 2, make sure that you're using the right browser. I prefer the one I was using today. What is that? Edge. Others use Chrome. They say it works better for them. On my computer, Edge is the best. I don't have any problem. I process things quicker and all that works. So my recommendation is Edge or Chrome, but you might need to switch between the 2. if the other one is not responding to you according to your computer. But a good stable internet where you are and a fast internet helps, and a good a browser helps. Number 4 is that, remember, load shedding affects everyone. The network where you are or the area you are, and also maybe where the servers are of SITA. So sometimes the system is super slow, not because of where you are sitting at home. You've got good internet, you've got electricity, everything is fine, but another problem somewhere else. So that can happen. We have a group that were formed that from with the provinces just to tell us if the system is down. So as soon as the system is down, don't tell me, just wait. It can be down for 2 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour or 30 minutes. That is normal. Tell me if it's down for half a day to a day. That's a crisis. But when you log on, you can't log on, the system is down. Don't complain about things like that. It can happen. As I said to you, the reason why it can be down is too many for me to figure out in 5 minutes. I could not try and find out from SITA if it's the system or it's your network or it's your internet or it's because your system has been down on your side for 5 minutes. If your system is down on your side for the whole day, then I can start trying to find out if it's either an area issue or it's the system issue and all things like that. We are always being told when the system is down, and we communicate as soon as possible to SITA when the system is down at SITA. But whether it's a connection or a load shedding, that's not system down. That's a glitch. It can be down for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even half a day. We've had a situation where it's been down for 1.5 days, but we knew about it and we're working on it. So that can happen. So please don't throw the baby and throw your computer out of your window and say that you were bombed out 5 times. Just then leave it and come back later and try and upload again. So don't get too worked out about any delays that you experience with the Sims. It can happen. We are all doing it for the first time. So it's me and everyone else on it. We're learning as we go where to improve it. Okay, Jason. Jason Whitman, you're unmuted. You can go ahead, sir. Jason? I think it's either your mic is not working, but you are unmuted on our side, so we can see that you're unmuted. So you can mute again and then try you again later. Let's try Brent.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, Jason, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So if we breed for non-commercial purposes, and we export with personal goods, must we now apply as the trader to export for personal goods, or is it still the person who's buying? Are we applying as the breeding operation for that? How does that work? I know we're talking about migration, so it's maybe the next conversation, but I just want to understand how the system will work for us.
Okay, maybe ask your question from the beginning. What do you do?
Yeah, so if we're non-commercial breeding macaws, and they export on personal goods, how is that application now working? Is it still carrying on as it is now, and the person who's exporting
you are going to have to register as non-commercial? You will have to register as non-commercial. The same thing that you just saw today is what you have to do. You have to go to the system, register your non-commercial breeding facility, and answer those questions as we reflected to you today, and then apply and submit. And attach everything that you have, your affidavits, your whatever, your proof, and all your beds, your ring numbers, everything that you saw today, you must do it. You are part of the migration because you already have a registration for non-commercial purposes.
Yes.
Yes. So
okay.
you go ahead
and then
apply the same.
And then on the when you're then doing the export permit, is that then us doing that?
Don't go there. We will go there later. So when we get there, we'll cross the bridge when we get to it. I just don't want to confuse us with that part, because that part is a little bit trickier, because you are not the exporters. You sell to someone and someone applies for export permit. And I want to be able to show everyone at the same time what's going to happen on the breeder side. When you sell a bird to an exporter, you can actually tick it off your register and report it as sold. and then what the breeder will do when he then applies for an export permit. So there's a couple of steps that we must think about there. And if I go through that today, I just can't. I could have loved to show you a little bit, but you saw that I couldn't finish one registration to the end. So I couldn't even show you how to edit your breeding stock. But let's just get you guys migrated first. So when we get to that stage of applying for export permit, we will also do the same thing. We'll make you meet like this, and we'll go through how to apply for a CITES permit and when we will no longer be accepting manual permit.
Perfect. Thank you.
When we get there in good time. Let's start seeing if we can migrate you without any glitches and problems. All right,
Yeah,
Charmaine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Charmaine?
Thank you, Mpo. I would just like to know, as a consultant who works for clients, if I migrate the clients, do all the information and put it all in on the system so that they can migrate, can they then register and access those records that I've migrated for them?
Can you use your client's login details? Because if you use yourself as the applicant, you end up with their profile and there are things under your name. So I would prefer that you log in with their login details and help them through their own login details, not with yours.
Okay, thank you very much.
So that when you hand over the client, you hand over his login and he can do whatever he wants with his facility.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael Ellis. Michael? It's not Martel. Michael. So Michael Ellis, number 3. I can see you. You don't say anything. I am going to move on to Tracy. You can unmute Tracy.
Hi there. I just want to check with you. We already registered only for Scarlet. I need to now add the rest of them onto our application. Can I do that when I do the migration, or
no? So that will be treated. So the other species that are not added, that you don't have an approval for now, will be a new application. You will deal with that after we've migrated.
Okay, perfect.
If you are registered now for a certain species, you only migrate what you are registered for now. I'm not trying to deal with a new application. I'm not trying to get you reassessed and rechecked. You will be rechecked when you do the new application after we've migrated. We are only moving those who are already registered and their species, and they've got their permit of non-commercial and everything is already there. All other new applications will be dealt with when we go to the next phase. Now let's just deal with the people that already have the registration.
Okay.
And migrate them.
I have my inspection tomorrow ready with the paper applications. Thank you very much, Mpo.
Thank you. Brett is number 1 again. I thought we did, but maybe just put the hands down. Brett Daluz.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, this is a general thing, especially in the parrot breeding in South Africa. The CITES one has been a very gray area because a lot of the breeders, particularly the smaller ones, are not very educated. And within provinces, they don't know the laws, or they're scared of prosecution of having birds that were passed on from generation or something. Is the provincial going to be lenient and help these people? Because there is a big fear towards this digital registration. I've been doing mine, getting everything ready for this, because but a lot of people I talk to are very scared of this. Is there any input on that?
Okay. I'm wondering what they are scared of, because I mean the trade has been happening for the past since when? A long time, since time immemorial. We've been trading with African greys. The other second thing is that the most of our exporters have been running around the country buying and selling African greys from everyone they can find African grey from, in the past. So we are aware of the history of the situation. So there's no plan to be prosecuting people. We just want to make sure that everyone who's involved with international trade, between the Tani with the 2 African greys at the back of the yard, and the guy with 1,000 African grays. They are all registered. If they are registered for non-commercial purposes, that's the intention of the Dani. She does not want to trade commercially in African grays. She just wants to trade non-commercial. Register her. The province will register them. And we accept affidavits. Where, you know, we're not strict. We're not trying to arrest anyone. So as long as you do an affidavit showing that this bird was legally acquired and you are going to sell to exporters, register yourself as a non-commercial, and everyone is allowed to then apply for permits. The only problem comes is when you don't register, but you want to supply someone who's exporting. Then I don't know where this bird was acquired, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
so the most important part is that now at this stage, this is the right time to be registering. I don't want anyone to be fearful. This is the right time to be registering, because my understanding, and I think this is the provisional understanding, is that we all are fully aware that the African grey has been traded for a long time in South Africa, and we accept affidavits, we accept invoices, and all of those things. So the important thing is that you register so that if someone one day wants to export your birds internationally, is able to buy them and they are on the system. Any other bird that is not registered on the system will not be able to be traded internationally. So we're not at that stage of hitting people with fines and all sorts of things. But I hope that it gives you that certainty, or what we call this, clarity about the intention of the process. And
Yeah,
before I say, go ahead.
I've got the clarity, and I've been waiting for this to happen. Basically, we're following the whole world at the moment, and it is denied. But it's just, I think it's a responsibility of people on these groups to educate the smaller breeder that says it's his birds, he doesn't have to do it, or, you know, I got these birds from my dad or my grandfather, and this, you know, we as breeders and clubs, I think, going to have to go forward and tell these people this is kind of, use it as a word, amnesty at the moment, and come forward and get your stuff done. Because I've heard horrific stories, and I'm not going to mention province, of people that I have got, so had CITES once in possession, and they land up in court because apparently one or two of the provinces are slightly different. But those stories go around, and it generally makes the general public very scared. You telling us on this chat that we want to do it, and we all have been preparing for this, but you know, it's just the average Joe on the road. He's very skeptical on this process.
Okay, I understand fully why they're scared, but remember, it doesn't take away the fact that if there is a legal requirement in a particular province, like I know in Gauteng, they say that if you have you bring in a bird from another province into Gauteng, they require payment. Please make sure that you've been following the rules too. So please do that. You're not exempted from the provincial requirements. So that is very important too, to highlight that the provinces have requirements prior to this registration. There's nothing to do with this registration. It's just something that they already had in place prior to registration. So they are allowed to ask you questions if there's like non-existent paperwork and you don't have affidavit, you've never done anything and all of that. So please make sure that your provincial law has not been ignored in the past. And then now you are nervous. But as I said, the intention is to make everyone legal. Number one, the intention is to make sure everyone is electronic. Number two, and so that the trade in South Africa can be seen as legal and contributing to the species.
Yes. Now,
okay.
On the side Cape Nature, maybe do a bit of a talk to every club, and official come out to make it look more thing. Remember, most of the guys on this general chat today are ready for this process, where
yes,
I'm just talking in general for the other guys. So
yeah, the smaller guys.
Yeah, I think that is a nice idea, just to have a small road show in every province or club meeting where an official comes in and verifies this, instead of them just hearing it from another breeder, you know?
Okay. So Michael, Danielle, and everyone in the Western Cape, you are here on the call. So please help with that. If you need to just tell them when they have their, their club meetings, you can come and just give them assurances about what are the requirements in the Western Cape, and this system is just to move them from manual to electronic and all of that stuff. So I hope that is clear, and they are on the call. They will say something if they have got an objection to it. But yes, that's what I was trying to say. I see Ricky. Let me take someone from government, and I see Wayne. Let's start with Ricky.
Thanks, Mpho. I'd just like to point out from an Eastern Cape point of view, there is no issue around prosecutions, etc., because there is no requirement to have a possession permit or captivity permit for exotic parrots. The case is slightly different if we're looking at some of the poicephalus, but for the run-of-the-mill exotic parrots, there is no permit requirement for them, so that there should be no hindrance to people who want to enter the market. That's my first point. My second point is that my understanding of the distinction between non-commercial and commercial is a non-commercial breeder who's registered for non-commercial purposes cannot sell his birds to a commercial person or his chicks to a commercial purpose for the purpose of exporting those, because his registration is exclusively for non-commercial exports. And one cannot then register as a non-commercial breeder holder of animals or birds, sell them to a person who's registered for commercial purposes, and that person then exports those for commercial purposes. That is my understanding 100%. Of it.
100%, Ricky. 100%. Don't need to.
Thanks. I just wanted to make those 2 points. Thanks, Chair.
A commercial registered person who cannot export the non-commercial registered birds. They're not interlinked. They're not inherent. You cannot inherit them or donate them or transfer them. You would, for non-commercial, you always need an import permit from the country of import. For commercially sourced birds, you don't need an import permit because we will give you an export permit for free. So remember, those are not transferable, nor should they be even on the same permit, nor the same shipment, because you need an separate import permit for the non-commercial. But anyway, when we get to permits, we will have a nice little chat about this part and how you treat the different application. And the system now will help us to differentiate between the commercial and non-commercial. It will help the breeders know whether the animals are exported or not exported. They're still in the country, but sold to a breeder, but they're still somewhere in Joburg. So it's going to be very helpful because you can track the animal within the country. Wayne, I'm coming from the bottom going up now. Wayne Mayer.
Hi there, Mpho.
Yes.
I'm working at Cape Nature, and I don't want to sort of open a whole dialogue and with all the people on the group, but just generally speaking, if people don't have permits, etc., and they come forward to us to get their birds on a permit or whatever animals on a permit to start complying, then we are obliged to assist them and not to prosecute them. I mean, obviously, if there's gross, transgressions, we can't ignore it. But it's different than to cases where we come across people who don't have permits or they are reported to us and we have to go after them. Then it's looked at differently. When people come forward, we will do our best to assist them and avoid prosecutions.
Thank you very much. I think we are clear now. I want to see something. I can't find my friend. Okay, and next question. Michael.
Thanks, Paul. Michael from Cape Nature. I think what's important here is the previous speaker said that there are small breeders. I think there needs to be a distinction made between a tunny with a male and a female breeding in her back garden for her own purpose. In other words, she's not interested in commercial, she's not interested in non-commercial. What is the process there? And then we need to make a distinction between the non-commercial and the commercial where there is breeding for a end purpose. Because I think some of the fear out there is the Tani with 2 birds that keeps it as a pet for her own personal interest, and they happen to breed, and she maybe donates a chick to her friend who also wants a parrot for her own personal purpose. What is the process there? Should there be a registration, yes or no? And then the other one is commercial and non-commercial for an end purpose. I think that will iron out a lot of fear as well.
Yes, so my understanding from what I've seen in the past 3, 4, 5 years now with this African grey situation is that you have these huge breeding facilities that are purely commercial. Okay? They export large quantities to other re-exporters. So they send them to one country, the guy, when he gets to that country, they sell them and they do all sorts of things to them. And then you have these smaller breeding facilities that are a source of African greys, but they are not necessarily commercial. But they will make money in South Africa. Don't forget, commercial does not mean that you don't make money yourself. So it means you can sell to Mpo, who's an exporter, but my bids are for non-commercial purposes, so they can't be resold. And before I even export, the exporter who's buying from us know that he will require an import permit before he sells my bid. All these very small people with 2, 8 bids must be registered as non-commercial because their facilities don't have this super organized breeding methods and whatever, like a big facility. These guys cannot trade for commercial purposes. So all our exporters, these are our traders that come around buying African greys from this one and that one. Those smaller sourced birds cannot be traded from commercial because they're not registered with the Secretariat. Most of the guys that are registered with the Secretariat have bigger stocks. So the difference is that the traders or the exporters, people that are buying birds from the smaller breeding facilities, should not enter those guys' birds into the international market if they're not registered for non-commercial purposes. And it must be clear, and the people that I must be fighting with, it's not the smaller breeders, because that guy wants to breed and sell to whoever buys. It is the guys that are going to now enter the international trade that must be clear that when you buy from the bird that is sourced from a smaller breeder that is non-commercial in nature, he can only sell it for non-commercial purposes. Therefore, when he applies for the export permit, he requires an import permit first, and the import cannot be for commercial purposes. So, Michael, the answer in short is that the smaller guys are non-commercial usually, unless they want to try to apply for a commercial registration. We can't say no, they might just complete those forms and those questions that you've seen about a very complicated operation that requires feeding mechanisms, photos of the breed security and all of those things. That's why usually they don't bother applying for commercial registration. We would not say no to register them, but I'm saying to you, you can't be doing that for 3 or 4 parrots that you breed every day. A year, once a year, 2 or 3. So that's the difference between the two, is that the non-commercial guys are usually the smaller guys, but their bids are not exportable if they're not registered for non-commercial purposes. I hope that clarifies who is who. Michael Ellis. Your hand has been up for a while, so I think maybe you are not able to answer or whatever. Charmaine, is it an old hand or a new hand?
It's an old hand. Thanks, Mpo.
Thank you. Brent, is this an old hand or a new hand? Can you put it down, Charmaine, please?
That's
Brent,
a
old
new
hand or is a new hand? Okay, Brent, go ahead.
Okay, in a bigger facility, right? If the breeder is specializing in CITES 2, but he's got a love for a specific one species CITES 1, which is not for really export commercial, he's doing that for a love, but then authorities come there and he's holding 200-300 cages of other species, but the one species, maybe he's got 10 pairs, which he's really trying to build the numbers up in South Africa. How does that unfold? Of course, he's got a big facility, which is commercial in their eyes, but he's sitting with 5 or 2 pairs of a species that he truly loves, that's trying to preserve it in South Africa.
Yes, but that's not something to do with CITES because you're not exporting those, eh? You're not trying to register for non-commercial. You're not doing anything. You just, I don't know what you're doing. You're breeding, collecting. You're collecting.
Yeah, but your facility is big. So you look like a big
And
commercial.
it's not about the facilities. I'm talking about the animal that you're talking about. So remember, this registration is about the species that is in international trade.
Yeah.
This is about the species and the facility that is in international trade. I'm not looking at your other one pair of macaw that you love and you breed once in a while with it. For this process, I don't require those people to register with me because they are not in international trade and they don't intend to be international trade. They are collecting it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Therefore, you must then apply for the what you call the African grey, which is what you are doing on a commercial scale. You register for African. The questions that you must answer in regard to the collection that you have for the other species, you will speak to your management authority. If in Western Cape is a requirement for you to tell them that you have 1 or 2 macaws in your facility. In Eastern Cape, they said it clearly. They don't care. It doesn't require a permit. But in Western Cape, you require a permit for those macaws. Then you tell them, guys, I've got African greys. I'm registering for non-commercial purposes or commercial purposes for my African greys. Here's my paperwork, my everything. And I do have 5. And I'm coming forward to tell you that I've got 5 macaws. They came in these days. I'm just a collector. Can you please give me whatever permits required? And then it's up to them to decide if you were intentionally deceiving them or not. That is now a separate question. It's nothing to do with this process.
Okay,
it's just that you need to speak to Western Cape about that. Okay. Michael, you want to add to that? I'm not trying to make an adjudication on a call like that until you see what the situation is. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, obviously we would deal with it case by case, like my colleague Wayne Mayer mentioned. But in my mind, the macaws can be addressed with a permit condition. For example, I'm not saying it is a cross-board permit condition, but for example, it could be addressed with a permit condition saying no trade, no swapping, no exporting, and remains on the property at the facility for the rest of its natural life.
Yeah, so I think that you can deal with as Western Cape. I don't want to open that discussion because it's going to take us for long.
Yeah.
I also believe that it's better to deal with case by case and see what kind of challenges come up. But that is a unique situation in the Western Cape because of the requirements in the Western Cape. And this process only deals with birds that you know are going for international trade or commercial or non-commercial purposes. Okay, Brand, you are fine now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move to Joe Ruer.
Yes, morning, Paul. I just got a couple of clarification questions. And like a previous guy just mentioned, you know, there is smaller breeders that are scared of registering and all of that. Now, I'm one of those guys. I've got 4 mature pairs of African greys and 2 young pairs. So I've got 6 in total, but I bought them from another guy that was not registered. And when he bought birds from somebody else, they were also not registered. So I'm sitting with unregistered birds, and that was never registered before. So the whole idea was, you know, to breed them and to sell them. But the option is not there to export them because of the location where I stay. There's no exporters close to us. So it will cost a lot of money to send them to exporters. So I was told, you know, that I need to register non-commercial, commercial, and for Switzerland. I have to do all 3. And then the other problem that we're sitting with is that, you know, I'm on a lot of bird groups, and I'm affiliated with a club as well as the Parrot Association of South Africa. You know, that if we want to sell them our birds, the people don't want to buy from you because they are not registered, not, you know, let's say they are registered non-commercial, but if they are not registered commercial or Switzerland, then they don't want to buy birds from you. So, for the smaller guys like me, it's making it difficult. I'm sitting with a choice. Either I keep them and register them now as non-commercial, and then maybe commercial as per your advice on your answer that you will give me, or I must rather stop me and go into something else. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's quite a difficult question because it involves both what we call this. I must think about this carefully. So it involves your situation. It's a unique situation in that you are a smaller breeder, and involves the market itself, because the market changes and the exporters changes their behavior according to what is available. They might tell you they don't want your non-commercial bids now because they've got too many commercial bids easily available that they can export. But as soon as those commercial bids becomes unavailable, they easily buy the non-commercial ones and they export for non-commercial purposes. So the reality is that we are all stuck in a situation where there are African grains on Appendix 1. We can't get away from that. So if you're a smaller breeding facility, I advise that the first thing you do is register yourself as a non-commercial purposes. At least that if a breeder comes to you or an exporter comes to you trying to buy a bird, you can tell him, I'm non-commercial. Here's my 2 pairs. If you want them, they're available. How he wants to buy them or not, that's up to him. If he doesn't want them, you can sell them locally. That doesn't stop you. As long as you ring them with closed bands, you can trade them in South Africa and not internationally, because you know that the exporter doesn't want to buy them. And then as your breeding stock grows, you can say, okay, now I've reached a stage where I can produce sufficient African grays to enter the commercial trade, and then you can apply for a later registration. Some things might advance before you get to that stage. If we get to the stage where we'll automatically allow the smaller breeders to become commercial automatically. There's a process that we're busy with now. It's almost at the end, but I don't want to announce anything now, but there's something that we're working on to allow for everyone who breeds African grey with the same methodology and the same whatever to be registered automatically. That's something coming in the future. But for now, my advice is, as a smaller breeder with a few pairs, that does not actually, you cannot feel like 80 or 50 exports or 100 that exporters want. Register for non-commercial that can be exported for non-commercial purposes. We don't influence how the exporters behave on base they buy. They do it per order and the ease of transaction. And that's just the market as it is. And for now, I think the best thing to do is register yourself. It's an African grey. It's already been in the country. You might not have all the paperwork, but you have invoices show where you bought them, and you can do an affidavit, and you'll be registered for non-commercial purposes.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We have a little an exemption for that. Yeah. So don't worry about African grays. That will be, we won't ask you where does it come from. This guy is registered. Did the other guy not register? We already applied a general exemption to African grays so that will allow you with an affidavit.
Thank you so much, Mumpo. Much appreciated.
Thank you. And then we had Amanda. I think Machel Ellis is not unmuting. I am left with Amanda.
Okay, I just want to know, how can we make contact with you? Is there a cell phone number we can call, or what should we do?
Your audio just went dead on me, so can you try again? It died before you finish your statement.
Okay, I just want to know, how can we make contact with you if we need some help? Is there a cell phone number we can call, or what should we do?
You must. Which province are you in?
Free State.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the name of the official that you must call. Somi, are you here? She gone. She was here during the day.
Yeah.
Somi, are you here?
Yes.
Yeah. Somi.
No,
she's not here. Okay. She's in the meeting. In this meeting. I wanted to give you a contact of Somi, who I think is here, but I'm not sure. I can't see her anymore. But each province has provincial representative, right? So if you have a question, you must contact your provincial. Yours is Somi. I wonder if there's a possibility of me sharing the number with you without sharing with everyone else. But what we can do is give you the CITES email address. Type it there in the chat. Look in the chat box of this meeting. We want to give you an email address that says CITES at dffe.gov.za, and then they will email you the number to, or that email address will send you the number to the provincial authority that you must contact on that. Yeah, there is too many people to manage from myself individually. So we need to filter the queries from the province. As they become more serious, they go national. And I fail, I send them up to wherever, like to CETA and all that. So it will be useful first if the province starts dealing with your queries directly for you, and then before it's then escalated to us here at national for questions. So any questions on the system, whatever, ask your provinces first. And then if they fail, then they'll contact me, and then I'll also contact CETA where I see things are stuck, I can fix, because I'm also not a system developer or anything like that. I just help with information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. So we will email you. Sorry, we are sharing the email address. So just send me an email on that email address of CITES at dffe.gov.za. Then we'll share you the cell phone number of the official that you must contact in your province to assist you. All right. I see no hand. Let me just check if Sandra has come back to me. Maybe we could do some miracles, but no. No miracles from Sandra. Okay. No more hands. Michael does not seem to be able to speak, no unmute. So I'd like to thank you very much. You have seen the system, you have seen how to migrate. Now we can start tomorrow to migrate. There's two things that we have agreed is that number one, you will start logging on and trying to migrate yourself. You will per bid attach the individual proof of legal acquisition when you get to that particular bid. This is because at the moment it's still forced. 3, if your current registration has more than what the province have on record, and it creates suspicion, your registration won't be migrated immediately. You might be required to be checked. But generally, all applications or this migration, it does not intend that you must be inspected again and your RIN numbers be checked again. That's not the intention of the migration. So please log on, migrate. If you have never applied for a CITES permit or registration for non-commission, please stay away for now. Let's deal with the migration guys first, and then we will let you know after the 1st of June that anyone else who wants to just register for the first time can move. Please remember to attach your original application that was registered, your original certificate that was issued by a management authority if you have, your proof of payment for provinces that actually want proof of payment, your ID, and your breeding stock to your attachments of your registration. And then submit. And the rest you leave to us to try and figure out between us and the provinces to get you registered automatically. If things go smoothly, the 1st of June is not that difficult of a task if we don't end up with a lot of queries. But let's try. Let's see what we come up with when we learn the process. Gert?
Hi, Mpo, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just have a question here from somebody, and it says that when you click on save and not submit, then it seems like you lose everything that you have entered on the system.
No, that should not be. Save, and you wait for the thing to say saved. The most important thing when you click on save is that you must wait. If you try and move on without waiting for it to confirm that your information is saved, it is not saved. It's only saved if the system tells you save. So after you click on save, wait. Don't do anything else. Don't try and click on the next button. Don't be too fast. You press save and wait. If it's saved, it will say saved. It will come back to you with a pop-up. It says successfully saved, and then you click on OK.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have dealt with what is required. I don't think that there's any more thing I can tell you. Oh, Javi. Bruno.
Yes, I've got a question. So let's say I do have 3 specimens of macaws that I want to sell. I am registered. Must I first go through the new registration before I can apply, let's say, to sell to an exporter, or how does that work? Or can I still do the old
What are you
manual
doing
system?
now? What are you doing now?
The old manual system.
You use the old manual system.
Mm.
You just stay manual. We've not migrated the applications of export permits. We're migrating your facility and the species
Okay,
that you
excellent.
have in the facility. So to apply for a permit, you stay with whatever you've been doing in the past.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay. So we have posted the permits for, what is it, of all the provinces? Oh yeah, so if you look in the chat, you'll see all the provincial departments' email addresses. Nah? So you can call them, their cell phone numbers, there's names of people. It's a bit skew and everything, but please look in the chat box to find who's your provincial email address and contact person, and cell phone numbers are there, and landlines in some cases. Call these people if you have questions or you're stuck on something. Yes, and then we've got a hand in the room, Tony.
Can you email the list of provincial contacts to the Parrot Breeders Association for posting on their website?
Yeah. We'll send it to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I see no hands. So the numbers are in the chat box. Don't say that you don't have the numbers to all the provinces. There it is. And we also have no new hand. I think Amanda is an old hand. I hope it's not a new hand. And Machel Ellis, it seems like maybe it's an unseen hand. Amanda, please verify it's an old hand. Thank you, Amanda. And then Dolph.
For the migration, I just put on all the birds that was on the original list, not the offspring that came after we registered at Switzerland.
For the migration, I want you to put the birds on your facility now. Physically there now. Everything that you have there now.
Breeding stock.
Even
the breeding stock and the new birds that are on your facility, not the ones that you sold, that are there now.
No. The ones that I breed that I keep back.
Yes.
You must put on as well.
You must put on your, so everything that is alive, that is on your facility today,
yes,
you add them on that registration, on the migration.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Elder Mostert. Elhart. Meneer Mostert, you can unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you can go ahead.
Paul, with the migration, I struggle when I press save. It seems that it doesn't save, but I understand we must wait a while. So I reapply. So basically, there's now 2 profiles. How can I delete the one?
Yeah, you see, don't. So the profiles are actually useless until you submit them, eh? So leave that one that you didn't do. Choose which one you want to continue with, and continue. Use the one that you want to use. So let me show you now on the screen, so that you don't get confused. So my Donald here is registered. You see, these are all his applications. Né? He was trying to register for Registration, operation, breeding appendix 1, secretariat. These are all the applications. All these things are created. This ones, it tells you the status. As long as your status still says created here, it has not left your inbox. Leave it there. Loss of net there. Yeah. And then use the one that you intend to submit. So,
okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wonder if we cannot remove that, but we'll do it. Cancel. All right. Okay, I'm looking at my thing again, and I think that was the last question. I don't have any other question on the screen. Nothing in the chat.
Can you reconfirm the required uploads, please?
So I'm going to reconfirm. If you are migrating, there's some certain uploads under attachments that must be attached. Number one is that you must attach under proof of legal acquisition your application form that was successful and you are registered with the secretariat or you are registered for non-commercial purposes. The application form that you used. Number two, you under the same division that you must attach is the proof of legal acquisition. You must attach the certificate, the non-commercial certificate that the province issue or the ZA secretariat certificate they issue, if you have it. You know, sometimes some people don't. That one is optional if you have it. Number four, you need to attach your recent breeding records up to date, which will include all the dead ones that you've done in the past and everything that has happened in the past. That's under your breeding stock. As proof of legal acquisition, that's proof. That's like the stuff that you have now there that includes all your activities in the past and all of that. So that will be your breeding record that you have on that facility. Everyone has a breeding record and everyone keeps stock. And you have to require to keep stock because your site is one registered. So all your breeding records must be attached to that. Under proof of legal acquisition, you must attach your ID and you must attach proof of payment to a province that you know that you need to pay. I'm not saying pay again. If you had paid in the past, you must attach it. I think that's it. About 4 documents that must be under your uploads under attachments. Remember, for now, in this week, every time you add a bid, you must attach something. If you attach a proof of payment, or you attach a permit, attach every bid that you add, or a tiger that you add, or a cheetah that you add, you must attach something. For now, until we get it sorted with CETA to remove that requirement during the migration. And I hope we can sort that out within the next week or less. Yes, in the room.
I have a question about the breeding records that you require to be uploaded.
That will be set.
Would that be an example of your breeding records or all your breeding records?
When you registered in the first place, we wanted all your breeding records. You remember? You need a breeding record. That was part of the criteria for registering you.
No.
We had our stock list.
F1 and F2.
Yes, and previous year's production by the females, but not the entire breeding records. Our breeding records that we uploaded, that we used, was only an example of a single pair's records that were.
Okay, attach whatever you have in terms of your breeding records or your stock list. What I want to answer, the question to answer here is that the province wants to assess whether your stock list has dramatically increased from what they know, as you have to report that every 6 months or 12 months, to what you're applying for now in the new inventory that you would have been attaching. So it's almost like that reporting requirements that you do, that you must attach under your breeding stock, let's call it that.
So for the African grey Switzerland registered facilities that stock list with the history of the female's offspring is sufficient.
What they submit annually or biannually to the provinces when they tell them what is happening on their facility. That's what I want. Or that's what the provinces wanted. They wanted to see the updated information in a spreadsheet, and then your current stock list is going to be in your inventory anyway. I hope I did not confuse it too much. I see many mustard is back, or is just an old hand. Elkhart? Is it old hand?
That's probably an old hand.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So yes, I hope I realign myself is that we want your breeding stock then. Let's put it that way. So that when you say breeding records, you might just want to worry about finding something in 1975. No, I'm looking for your breeding records. You're already registered. We need to know what has been happening in your facilities in an Excel spreadsheet. And then, of course, your inventory now will tell us what is exactly happening currently in this new application for migration. Anyway, those are the requirements of this migration. 1st of June, we will be migrated. And then we will have a training for application of permits, CITES permits, export permits, to see how that training goes and how well it goes. And then we start moving on to the next phase. I intend to have a general update on the Cips system, which means a general discussion about Cips with everyone who has been using it for the past year, sometimes in April, to take in comments and to take in where we can improve, where we need to fix things that have not been fixed, things that are frustrating, to take in that kind of queries and answers, and also to move a bit some of you guys online, you know, on the Appendix 1 application on certain species where you require import permit first. Those are not easier to do if they don't require registration. We'll see which one can work, you know, and then start applying for the vendors and all things like that, dealing with the registration of the other people. So in April, we'll do another session, maybe a 2-day session, to try and see if we can start moving ahead to getting everyone now on board on Appendix 1 applications. But in the meantime, you guys, your responsibility is to migrate yourself into the system. All right. That is it from my side today. I have no additional comment or anything further to say, rather than thank you for coming. And remember my words is that be patient. Don't break your laptops. You may get delayed by slow internet, that you're not aware that your internet at home is not that good, and you only find out when you're dealing with the system. There might be load shedding. So if you are unable to do something for about half a day, it's not the end of the world. You can wait until then at night, it will still happen. Please save and wait for it to say saved, confirmed, or something like that. And then you click on go ahead. And then you can do this over 2, 3 days, 4 days, because you don't have to all 500 African greys in one day. And let's go on board and let's see what happens. And we are open to your invites, to your clubs. Please invite your provinces, and where you need us, you can add us along. We take along. We try and help to get those who are not computer savvy to also get on board. And I hope it goes smoothly. And please call your provinces first, and they will link you up with me where there's complete frustrations on all ends. I think we are done for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.